All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be creating our reading goals based on what we have read so far. So the directions are all in here. I'm just going to walk you through it. What you're going to do first is you are going to total up the pages that you read for these 5 days. No shame if you need a calculator. It's okay. Especially as we get into some of this multiplying and dividing, it might be a little easier. All right, so now you're going to determine what your 10-minute average was. So you're going to total up your days, put it here, then you're going to drop that number down right here where it says total pages. So throughout those, I read 38 pages. I'm going to divide that by 5 because I read for 5 days. Now, if you only did 4 days, you can still do this, just change that number from 5 to 4 because you're trying to find the average. So mine's 7.6. I'm just going to round up. If you are like 7.1, just round down. Don't worry about the decimal point, or you can be super specific, whatever. All right, so in about 10 minutes, I should be able to read about 8 pages. So now I'm going to take that 10-minute average, and I'm going to multiply it by 6, because that is how many pages I should be able to read if I were to read for a whole hour. Now, throughout the week, we are going to be reading for an hour. So this is our first goal that we want to be working toward. Put a box around it. You can highlight it if you want. So every week, I should be reading at minimum 48 pages, because I'm giving you an hour throughout the whole week. All right, so now we're going to take that hourly average, or that 1 week goal. We're going to drop it down here. We're actually going to drop it down twice. So we're going to put weekly goal here and then weekly goal here. And you'll see why in a minute. All right, so now we're going to figure out what is our goal to achieve by the first grading period. So we're going to multiply it by 3 because we're going to read for 3 full weeks. So by that first progress report, I should have 144 pages done. Okay. Now I'm going to look at my first quarter goal. We're going to multiply it by 8 because in the first quarter, there are 8 weeks that we are reading. So we can't double it. We have to just take the weekly average and multiply it by 8. So now I've got 384 as my first quarter goal, which is going to be October 10th. So by October 10th, I should have read at least 384 pages. And again, this is based on the type of book that I'm reading right now. If I pick up a book that's a little bit harder, clearly it's going to slow down. If I get a book that's a little bit easier, clearly it's going to speed up. All right, so now we're going to take this quarter page goal and drop it down here. And we're going to multiply it by 2 because that is how many quarters are in the semester. So by the semester, this is our prediction that we should have read at least this many pages. Okay, so we've got a couple things that we're working toward. This is what we want to try to check in with every week, that we're hitting this as our weekly goal. This is what we want to try to hit by October 10th, and this is what we want to hit by the end of December, by the end of the semester. Now, for some of you, this 768 or whatever your semester goal is might be terrifying and frightening. So let's think about how many books that is. Most of our books tend to be about 300 pages, maybe 250, 350. Think of, the book that you're reading now. If this looks like a book that you would read a few similar, then just put that page number here. We'll take your total pages and we'll divide by the typical length of a book that you might read. So if mine's 768, and let's say that my books are all going to be about 250 pages. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 250. Maybe I have a shorter book. That's okay. All right, so it looks like mine is about 3.1 books. Okay, so for me, that is maybe a little bit easier of a number to digest than 768. For some of us, these big pages might sound very daunting, but when I say, I have 4 months and I want to try to read 3 books, that sounds a little bit more doable, okay? So, and again, this is based on regular traditional novels. When you read a graphic novel or a book that's poetry, clearly you're going to get through it a lot faster, and that's going to inflate your numbers. Great. It's just something that we are going to consider, all right? So now thinking about that, this is my weekly goal. This is my quarter goal, and this is my semester long goal, and I want to try to read this many books total. Now I need to think about how I am going to achieve that. So I want you to think about what are 4 things that you can do to achieve this goal. One thing is, bring my book with me everywhere. If I take it to math class and I finish early and I've got 5 minutes before the bell rings, I can pull my book out and read for 5 minutes, and it's definitely going to get me to that goal. Maybe I focus on, so if I do 48 and I divide it by days of the week, I'm looking at about 7 pages per day. And then maybe I use weekends to catch up. Okay, think of different things that you can do to try to achieve this. Maybe you want to try a graphic novel. Maybe that's something that has been interesting to you. It's maybe out of your wheelhouse, or maybe seems a little bit easier. And then maybe the book I'm reading right now is kind of tough. Maybe I want to get the audio to follow along with. Okay, there's all different things that you can do. Maybe you get an ebook so that it's on your phone and you can do it whenever. Maybe you set the daily goal per school days only. Maybe you order a certain book, or maybe you have a Kindle and you want to really read on your device so that you can take it home with you. Think about what are some specific things that you can do to try to work toward these bigger goals. Maybe you have a certain time of day that you want to check in and see that you have read it. Maybe you're going to read in between math and science homework. Those are a lot of like left brain things, and maybe reading's a little bit more right brain for you, and so you want to switch it up. Think about what are 4 things specifically that you can do to try to achieve this goal.